What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you didn't have too rough of a Friday, although looks like over this weekend, Bed Bath & Beyond is going to open up Monday much lower than the close on Friday. Guys, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate all of the subscribers. Today we're going to look at Bed Bath & Beyond reverse stock split. We'll check out the chart. We'll check out some news and give you some of my thoughts here moving forward. Real quick, guys, we head over to Google Finance. We can see Bed Bath & Beyond trading after hours. So today is the 18th. It's Saturday. It's March. After hours Friday down to 86 cents roughly is where it's at right now, which would be a 16.5% move to the downside. 17 cent, moved to the downside. Bed Bath & Beyond announces reverse stock split plan, shares drop. That is one news headline there. Bed Bath & Beyond announces special shareholder meeting to approve reverse stock split. Let's head over to, we'll jump into the charts, but let's head over to this government website real quick. Let's do a quick rundown on what this lays out here of a reverse stock split. So when a company completes a reverse stock split, each outstanding share of the company is converted into a fraction of a share. For example, if a company declares a 1-for-10 reverse stock split, every 10 shares that you own will be converted into a single share, a 1-for-10 stock split. If you've owned 10,000 shares of a company before the reverse stock split, you will own a total of 1,000 shares after the reverse stock split. So that is a quick rundown on what a reverse stock split. I will leave this website down in the video description if you want to check it out. Looks like it's investor.gov, and it lies out here what a reverse stock split is. Let's head over to the charts, guys, and see what's going on here. So let's take a zoom into the chart. So I laid out here down below, this red line right here is representing the 86 cent mark, which is, if we head back to Google Finance, 86 cents is roughly where it's trading at after hours. So I put that there as a visual to see where we closed. Looks like we closed at $1.03, and it's going to open up right now. I'm sure it'll change between today, Sunday, and then the opening on Monday morning, down there at 86 cents. That is a massive drop to the downside. Roughly that 16-17% move, depending on where it opens up on Monday. So we spoke about in the past that this chart shows that it takes a lot of capitulation before it bottoms and then has a reverse trend, a reversed move, a huge pump up. It also shows that the RSI needs to be way more oversold before we could expect a potential massive rally. So what is this moving forward into next week, maybe Monday? Well, we're probably going to get a big gap down. So this stock has been known to gap down, as you could tell right here. We have 2 big gaps before the bottom, and then we have some gaps to the upside. So we'll probably get a gap down. Maybe that's not the only gap down. Maybe there is more to follow. We'll see. But one thing that should do is it should crush the RSI. It should make the RSI at least much more oversold than where it potentially is right now. So the RSI reading, it looks like it's at a 35. If we take a look back over here on the date of the 5th of January of this year, that first big gap down we saw there gave us a 22 RSI. We're currently sitting at a 35 RSI. So that big gap down could potentially be a similar reading for the RSI. This gap down was a 20% move. So we'll see, although the RSI was lower than that when that gap down took place. So we could potentially see an RSI in the mid 20s or so, which would be definitely much more oversold than where it is now. Maybe this thing finds a bottom before earnings on the 12th. It seems like, so this low over here on the 6th of January, well, that was the low there, and then the earnings was on the 6th, on the 10th. So the stock actually bottomed a couple days before earnings. So we'll see. Maybe this thing gaps down, trends lower to sideways, and then finds its bottom before the actual earnings date. That's one scenario that could play out. Maybe it gaps down and that's the bottom. It rallies into earnings, and then it tops out on the 12th. Anybody's guess, guys. Just running through a couple different scenarios here that what potentially could take place. I obviously am not an insider. I do not know. I'm just running through a couple of the different scenarios here. One thing we should expect, though, is we'll keep an eye on this throughout the weekend, but we should open up much lower. Right now, it's a 16% move to the downside. That should create a big price gap between Friday's close at a $1.03 and then the open, which potentially is at 85-86 range. It should be a big gap. Excuse me. Usually gaps eventually will get filled. So that tells us that the stock will potentially rally back to at least close that gap from wherever it opens up to that $1.03 range. Something else is it should give us that super oversold RSI. Of course, it could be more oversold and we could see more gaps to follow. If the stock market gets super ugly again next week, then it's probably going to lead to more downside for Bed Bath and Beyond. So a reverse stock split looks like took place. I will leave the link down in the description for that investor.gov website if you want to check that out. Hopefully you are holding positions that you can afford the risk, or you have proper stops in place, and so on. People get wrecked in low price stocks like this. Basically, they get emotional. I was long this stock from one area was $1.55, and then the other area was slightly higher. I have to go back. Maybe it was in the $1.60s or $1.80s. Both of those positions were stopped out, and one because the price didn't continue to show strength to the upside, and I'm not personally willing to take that risk and hold this thing down to, wherever it decides to bottom. Maybe it goes to zero. Who knows? So something to keep in mind, that although you might be looking for a massive pump, these are multi-100% moves to the upside. Not everybody is willing or can afford to stay in, these massive downtrends here. So like back, for example, you had a pump here of, 500%, which was there, followed all the way down to a, 95% move to the downside before pumping again, 300%. So if we take this most recent pump to where we're currently closed on Friday, that's roughly an 85% move to that $1.03. If we take that down to 85-86 cents, that's an 87% move to the downside. So obviously we've seen the thing move much lower than that. So maybe 80 some cents is not the bottom. So hopefully you guys aren't getting wrecked out there, and you can afford the risk you have on in a position or a trade like in the stock BBBY. So we'll follow up if we have any more thoughts throughout the weekend. Should be a big gap down. Gaps usually get filled, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. RSI should be oversold, and we'll keep an eye out on the news over on Google Finance as they release some stuff potentially over the weekend. Be careful out there, guys. These stocks where the company is in trouble, anything is possible. And I can tell you one thing, usually the investors don't make out the greatest unless you happen to time the market really well. Usually the insiders make out and the stockholders do not, unless, like I said, you're able to, you happen to catch one of these pumps and, make some money. Otherwise, it's usually not a good thing. Like I said, I took some risk here getting into two different trades. One was at $1.55, which was stopped out for a loss. One was a little higher in the $60 to $80 range, which was also stopped out for a small loss. And we are way lower than that. So, for example, the $1.55 range, right now we're down 33% just from that. So I wasn't willing to risk 30% on that trade. So it's been closed for more than a couple days now. And obviously the price is even lower potentially on Monday, which would have been a 45% loss. Wasn't willing to take that much risk by any means. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be careful out there. Every investment does involve risk. And the thing is, if you take one trade and you blow up an account, well, now you have to figure out a way to get that money back so you can invest again. So it's not always going all in on one stock, one cryptocurrency, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's better to pick a basket of stocks or cryptos, put trades in all of them. They all have a calculated risk. If one loses, one wins. If a couple lose and a couple win, you're still in the game. You could still trade another day. If you lose all your money in one stock, like, for example, Bed Bath & Beyond, and it goes to zero, or your account goes to zero for whatever reasons, well, now you have to figure out a way to get that money back to be able to trade again. So definitely something to think about over the weekend, guys, not financial advice. You guys have a great weekend. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and join us here on the channel. Hit that thumbs up. Appreciate it, guys. I will leave the links down in the video description. Thanks again. You guys take care.